All right, this
All
is
right.
the RTM Education Committee meeting. It is Tuesday, April 27, 2021. The time now is 6:37, and we're calling the meeting to order. And I'd like to just have a roll call for the members. The first is Chair Michael Whitney. I am here and present. Representative Kathy Chase.
Here.
Representative Katrina Fitzgerald.
Here.
Representative Thomas Frickman.
Here, sorry.
Great. Representative Lauren Gauthier.
Here.
Representative James Gustafson.
Here.
Representative Emily Ray.
Here.
Representative Dane Stevenson. I didn't see him in the list, but we'll keep an eye out for him. And then Representative Ian Thomas.
Here. I'm here.
Great. So that's all the committee members. I recognize that there are other people here, but I think because of Zoom, I don't think we have to go through everyone. I think it'd be apparent as we go on, and I've kept a list. So today our agenda is the budget. So specifically, it's the 2021-277-5-FYE 2022 budget account review. And what we'll be looking at are three items. One is the account 1080, that's education. It's the big one. It's on page 171. And then we have two CIPs, or capital improvement projects. And those are both in 5 education, and they're C and D, and we'll get to those in turn. And I just wanted to go through a few, not really ground rules, but how these meetings tend to play out. What we'll do is we'll start by considering 1080, for instance, and I'll announce that item on the budget, and then someone will move a number, and that number will be the number that, in this case, the town council committee of the whole has voted on. And I mentioned that I think it's tonight that they actually, town council approves their budget and then sends it to the RTM. I don't think, I think it's happening now.
Yes, it
or a
is. So
little
that's why
later.
it's going to happen now. So that's why I have to leave.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, you're all set. And just text me if you need anything.
All right, thank you. We might. So that's happening now. So when we have these, when the numbers that we're looking at, they've been approved by the committee of the whole, town council, and then they are likely to be approved, I would imagine, by the town council. But that's a distinction I wanted to make. We have, and so we'll move a number, and it'll be that number first, and then anyone that's on the committee can move an amended number, and we can have up to 2 amended numbers. So often you hear the original number is such and such, the first and amended number is this. That can be higher or lower, and then you can have a second amended number, higher or lower. Whatever number was moved for and seconded most recently, that's the one we'd vote on first, and you can have up to 3 numbers on the table. It doesn't often happen that way in these deliberations, but if it starts getting into that, I'll clarify if we need to. And if anyone has any questions about the procedure going through, that's fine too. So that's one thing about the mechanics of moving budget numbers. And the other thing is what we do is we recommend, we're voting on a recommendation for the RTM. And so we're not approving a number, we're approving a recommendation. Mm-hmm. And so it's a distinction, but it's just in the wording really. And the RTM is what votes on the budget numbers. And then in terms of procedure, all the committee members have standing to ask questions. I'll recognize you, of course. And then in asking questions or making comments, oftentimes, for instance, Superintendent Austin, being the expert on many things here, would jump in to answer that and be recognized to do so. I recognize that we have other representatives for RTM. You're welcome to ask questions too. It was just with the preferred status of the committee members is we'll give them the first shot at asking questions. But in past years, we've been able to maintain a procedure and still have a reasonably good flow of discussion. And then in terms of that discussion, it should be centered on FYE 2022 budget, the budget items that we're considering at that moment. And so it's best if your questions or comments are really directly on that. However, this budget depends on where we've been before, the path that's traveled, and there's some strategic thinking to where it's going in the future. And so sometimes there might be points of order that might be too far out of range, but these questions come up related to the budget, and usually it's more or less germane to the budget topic too. So we want to keep it focused on 2022 and move the meeting along, but it's recognized that there are other questions too. And then I see Moderator Eben just came on. She's an ex officio member, so she has the same standing as any other committee member. So with that, I can move to our first item on the agenda, and that is
Representative Whitney, Chair Whitney, I just wanted to say something. That's why I put my hand up.
oh, yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to note that since I believe the education budget is at the same number it was last year, the RTM is not able to decrease it. And I just wanted to note that with your deliberations.
Well, so we'll discuss that in a moment. Truthfully, we can. It just comes with penalties, but we can discuss that if you want once we move that number, get to that item. So this is the first item. It is 1080, count 1080. It's education, and it's on page 171 in the budget book, the main budget book. And of course, there's a Board of Education supplement as well. So I was wondering if anyone would like to move a number, and if you need the number the town council passed, I can give it to you.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to move $77,438,090 for account 1080.
That's $77,438,090 for account 1080. Are there any seconds?
Gothier seconded.
Thank you. So it's been seconded. We can open up discussion.
Is there going to be a presentation, or do we just go into questions, or how is that going to work?
That's a perfect first question. If you'd like to make a presentation, Superintendent Austin, you have the floor.
I would like to orient us a little bit. It's been quite a journey. And as you know, I was able to relieve our previous superintendent, Dr. Michael Grenier, as of January 1. Mike and I actually began the proceedings of working on a budget early in September because we knew that he was planning on retiring. And with Ken Knight and our central office team, I was able to work hand in hand with him. And our real goal was to find efficiencies in this budget, even with COVID, because of some of the support we've received through federal funding. We were really looking at mostly the salary account, and with salaries and benefits. When we first took our first plunge at it, we were seeing a 3.1 increase, and we knew that was not going to be the end of the story. That was the beginning of the story. And so with really scrutiny and careful looking at this budget, I was, Mike and I were able to bring it down to a 1.1%. And then working side by side with our Board of Education, we were able to see it to a 0%. and at MBR. And that was really kind of a goal of ours. Looking at this year, looking at the hardships in the community, looking at building, the 3 new schools that we're so proud of in Groton. Also, one of the things Representative Chase has asked us a couple times is, with the closing of 3 schools and the opening of 2 larger elementary schools, one of the goals for this Groton 2020 was always excellence, efficiency, and equity. And the efficiency really comes in when you're running 2 buildings. There are some cost savings the first year. And Ken's going to actually bring up a document because I really wanted to define that for everybody and have us all kind of understand that. So we have 1 less principal, for instance, 1 less secretary, 1 less custodian. But because the schools are both 604 students and we have a 4-tier school, preschool through 5th grade, we still need the same number of teachers. We still need to meet the needs of 604 students times 2. So our numbers haven't changed. But if you think about cost savings, it measures an adjustment made to the current expense structure that results in a reduction to the actual costs from last year. The cost avoidance is the continued reduction to the cost structure. So in other words, we won't have to hire back that principal or that secretary that we can foresee. And, and so there's a, for instance, here with our FY 2020 budget, we have a cost savings in this budget this year through the reduction of an administrator position and the consolidation of the elementary schools. While we're at a 0% budget, we would have incurred a 3.1% budget based on contractual responsibilities, steps for teachers, increased health costs, benefits. So we were able to reduce those with this cost savings and other things. We had a very strong health savings account. We were able to take some of that, although we're very much aware of it, that in OPEB, and we know our responsibilities to the town with regard to those insurance matters. And so even looking at end year expenses, we want to make sure that we are able to take care of all the things that we're responsible for. So I hope that this is, the other thing that's brought up as an example here, we didn't have as much snow. And even when we had snow days, we were able to go remote for some of those. So there were some efficiencies there too. Although it's really good to see the kids back at school. Can I just say that off the record? And, and we're really looking forward to getting back to better than normal next year. So, we did have some savings in all of this, and we did have extra expenditures because of COVID, but because of the benefits that we received from the federal government through ESSER, CARES 1 and CARES 2, we were able to take care of all the extra PPE and the substitutes and some of those things, and we didn't have to charge the operation account. So I just kind of wanted to lay out the story of this year and let you know that it's really been due diligence. And I learned really well from my mentor, Dr. Grenier, on how to really look at those things and really, make sure that we had what we needed for our students and our teachers and teaching and learning, but also to be very much aware of this year and the hardships and the extra responsibilities the town has taken on by building these 3 buildings. And I look forward to the day that I can bring you back again and take you on tour, because they really are magnificent buildings with magnificent opportunities for kids. So I kind of wanted to lay that out. I think Ken has another 2 slides that will be really quick. They tell a story also of how the budget is structured, what the town pays for through, taxes and what revenue comes to the town to support education. We'll go to that slide and then we can take a quick look at what makes up the budget. So Ted, Ken, can you share that for us? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you see that last slide?
Yes, that went, yeah, we saw that.
Okay.
And we're happy to send that forward because I know Kathy has asked for that. I don't know if that will help when we're trying to explain that.
Yes,
because I know that was something that everybody was interested in.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
You wanted to show the revenues at this point, yes?
Yes,
Okay, very good. Do you see that one?
yes.
Keeps shifting here. Okay. I'll make it a little bigger. Big. Okay.
So when we look at the school budget, I don't know if you can bring it down a little bit. If you see the dark blue, 61.5% of our school budget is taken care of by the citizens of Groton. And then if you look at the other portion, which is close to 40%, is taken care of through revenue that comes directly to the town to support education. The big portion, the big chunk is in that light blue, and that's our ECS cost, education cost sharing. Because we're an alliance district and have been for about 4 years, we've been able to secure that nearly $25 million and haven't lost anything in the process, so that comes directly to our town to support education. There are other state funds, federal impact aid, which is in the neighborhood of 3 million, but this year, fortunately, Congressman Courtney wrote a bill that passed through the Senate and the Congress that made sure that the number of slots that we had that go towards the impact aid were secured because of COVID. It was called a COVID relief bill. And we have a large percentage of active duty military, as you know, military connected, people who work on reservation on, so that all supports that large number. As a matter of fact, it supports it to the point where we've received additional funding that goes right to the town. We just received another $106,000 check that is going right to the town. And I think we're up to about $4 million this year. So we've had additional revenue because of this impact aid, federal impact aid, that goes right to the town. And really it supports education, and in the name of really supporting our military families and those who work for military institutions, because many of them do not pay taxes. And so this is a way that the government helps to support us. Then there's also special ed excess costs. So anything that is excessive in cost, the town receives back a portion of that. Medicaid, which our staff really is very meticulous about designating Medicaid costs. It's been a little harder during COVID because that's that one-on-one support that maybe an occupational therapist would give, or a speech language pathologist would give. And then there's other random sources. So that's almost $30,000 in revenue that comes to the town. So I wanted to lay that out so that everybody was clear that that's how education is funded in Groton. Does anyone have any questions about that slide? I don't know. Chairman Whitney, can you see if anybody's hand is raised?
Don't see anyone's hand raised right now.
I see
but-
Representative Chase.
But I will, while I'm talking, I'll just say one thing. So Moderator Eben mentioned the minimum budget requirement. And so the budget number we have here is a 0% increase. It's the same as last year. And that is the minimum budget. And so the MBR, this minimum budget requirement, while we can go below it as a town, I believe we would then forfeit the educational cost sharing, as well as incur
$25 million.
other costs.
Right.
So
yeah, we wouldn't want to do that.
no, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Chase?
Did Representative Chase have something to add to that?
I did. This is a very informative slide, and I appreciate you sharing it with us, because then it really shows that out of that 77 million, only 47 million is coming from taxpayers. And I thank you for showing this.
And when we present to the full RTM, we have a couple other slides, but we think this is a really important one. We wanted the Education Committee to see this. And we have another important one. It's simple. It's one page, but it talks about the funding codes for schools. And of course, it's in salaries and benefits. It's in purchase services, property services, transportation, communication. I don't know if you can make that a little bigger, my eyes are,
Yeah, I was trying.
I know
I think I messed it up. Oh, no.
you did. That's
I'm
okay.
gonna,
though.
I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna reshare.
Okay.
Reshare. We're gonna reshare this one. Okay. And make it a little bigger.
Okay,
How's that?
good. Thank you.
Yep.
So, in this one page, it kind of shows us that our bottom line is the 0% when you look down at the totals. FY21 budget on the left-hand side, when you looked at the salaries, you looked at benefits, the purchase services. So the 100s through the 800s was the $77,438,090. And for FY22, it's that very same number. You do notice salaries went up, benefits went down, and we were able to adjust that with some health savings that we had. We have purchase services right about the same, a little less for property services. And what Ken and I did and the team did was below you see why was there fluctuation? So in the 100s, when we're looking at salaries, there was contractual pay increases offset by some efficiencies due to those consolidations of the schools. So health savings, it would be savings the first year, but it would be cost avoidance in the future. In the 200s with benefit, there was 7% anticipated increase in the claims, offset by the reduction in the health saving reserve.
Susan froze.
Believe so.
Do you want me to finish off what she was talking about, or?
Yeah, give it a try. Why not?
So she left off on the 200s, which are employee benefits, and she talked about the increase in claims that we anticipated, offset by the reduction that we took in our health insurance reserve account. In the purchase services, we did put in an increase in the cost of services provided by outside experts. So that's what's causing that slight increase there. Property services, we are put in a slight decrease because we have a lower experience both with our snow removal as one point, but then also with having some of these newer buildings, we're going to be able to do some of the work in-house. Under the 500, which is a big category, transportation, insurance, communications, and tuitions, we do have an increase built in there as we do anticipate bringing on more of the bus costs into the budget that was previously taken up by a grant. In the 600s, which is the supplies account, we budgeted a decrease. Many of these costs are being covered. Oh, Susan's back.
I'm sorry, I don't know, I got disconnected. I apologize. Keep on, Ken. I'm sure you were doing an outstanding job.
Not as good as you, Susan. Definitely not. But we're in the 600 talking about supplies. A lot of the supplies, some of the supplies can be covered through the CARES Act, but we are anticipating an increase in electricity expense over this year due to us having to have the newer buildings as well as carry some of the older buildings until they get turned over to the town. 700s equipment. We don't have a lot budgeted here, but we do have looks like a slight decrease, but we are continuing to upgrade our IT infrastructure that is so important now in the schools. And then finally, under the 800s, dues and fees, a slight increase due to the MYP and careers program pathways, which are new programs that have some dues requirements built in.
And when you look at it, while it looks like 19%, it's really 14,000 out of a $74,000 budget. Many of our MYP middle years program cost for 6 through 8, because we have the MSAP grant, those are all covered and taken care of. We actually have a visit from the International Baccalaureate team next week to really oversee, because we're a candidate school for MYP. We're also a candidate for careers program. We have many career pathways that we're very excited about for our students. And we're one of 2 International Baccalaureate diploma programs. So one of the things, and I'll let the RTM know a little ahead of time, we're talking to our board about this, and we've worked on it in finances to really give competitive tuition prices that would be in line with like Norwich Free Academy, St. Bernard's, and some of the other private schools, because we get requests all the time to have students who are middle school, high school, join our International Baccalaureate schools. You know, it really is, I think it's really a gold star in the Southeastern Connecticut, and it's getting better and better. And we have room to expand that. And, you know, that revenue would come directly to the town should we find that just right spot for tuition costs. So just to let you know that we are always looking at future grants that are sustainable and future ways to bring in funds to our town to help support education. I feel like it's a team effort here. Does anyone have any questions about this slide, which really captures the essence of this budget?
I do. I'm sorry to be the only one talking.
No, that's all right.
So can you explain the 200 section? Because it says there's an increase, but then is offset by a reduction. So I know in your budget workshop, you said you were going, or it was stated that the money that you took out of benefits needed to be paid back. Is that still a true statement?
That is, I would say this year in particular, and Ken can speak to this also, we've had a very healthy health savings account in the neighborhood of about $5 million or more. Now, we're very careful with that, and we didn't take more than $1 million to bring that down, but we are very careful with that because we know that a lot of typical routine medical procedures and you know, care was maybe postponed due to COVID and people not being able to schedule those. So we've had a really good history month by month. We look at that with the Board of Education very carefully. And then next year, there may be an uptick on that just because people can make those appointments and get those procedures done. So we really want to make sure that there is plenty in that health savings to support that. And we want to look at any end year expenditures that have not been expended to see what we could pay back towards that, or a OPEB to be really responsible for that. Ken, did you want to add to that? Because I know that that's something that you do on a regular basis to monitor.
Yeah, no, I think you covered that pretty well, but I guess maybe the point is made that it was a one-time reduction in our health insurance reserve that we don't anticipate we'll be able to do again next year, but we certainly could do it this year and leave our health insurance reserve at a good spot.
So you won't have to put that 835,000 back into it next year or over time?
Well, the reduction that we took to the health insurance reserve that brought down this budget, it was a one-time thing. You can't repeat that over and over again. You can only do it like once, unless we continue to have a very good experience with health insurance claims, which we don't anticipate. We anticipate those to jump back up again once people are doing the procedures that may have been postponed.
So this is where my concern lies with the budget. So you had to take money out of the health reserve account to bring this to a zero increase. And this is where I'm very confused about the whole new school 2020 plan. There were guaranteed savings. We were promised guaranteed savings, but when you have to borrow money from an account to bring this to a 0% increase, I'm very confused about where the savings is. And then how
So
are we
when
gonna
you have a
sustain it?
3
How
point,
how will we sustain this if we have to pay the money back?
so we're really seeing that that's going to be managed because of this health savings reserve. The town also tries to do the same thing, but ours seems to be really at a good point, and we're pretty confident that this will, will not have any repercussions for us. I would also say that if you look over time in the past decade or more, we have been able to come in at an average of about 0.5% each year. So we've had many years that we've been 0%. I think when Mike first got here, he had to go to the town council and they had to have an increase. But we've really been able to maintain these lower percent increase budgets or no increase percent budget. And I would say that a lot of it has to do with securing the many grants that we've secured to be able to still improve education like we have, and offer all these opportunities for our students. So it has not impacted our students or the education. So I think that's always what we look at, Kathy. We look at, the board is very cognizant that whatever we reduce, that we're not affecting students and teaching and learning. And we were able to do this and we felt very confident in doing it and knew that even if things uptick, we'd still have enough in that health savings reserve to take care of everybody.
Okay, so you won't have to pay, you won't, next year's budget, you won't come back with an increase in the 200 category to put that 835,000 back, you're saying?
No,
So
we don't think so.
all right, you took it out and you won't need it because you have a healthy reserve.
Right.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate all the work you do with this.
Well, we try to do our due diligence, and certainly when you're getting 3.1 and we're very careful with, our contracts. We really do a pretty fastidious job with contracts, but they have tended to be at 2% increases. And then with the health benefits had also increased. So, when you're able to take something that's contractual and it's really 3/4 of the budget and bring it, there is some savings when it was up 3.1 and we're able to get it back to 0. So.
Right. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Wondering if any other RTM members had questions. That goes for members of the committee, or if you're not in the committee, you can ask questions or make comments as well.
So we can stop sharing the screen if there aren't any more questions, and then entertain any questions that you might have.
I don't see any hands raised. If you can't figure out where the hand raising thing is, you can just unmute and ask your question or make your comment. Otherwise, I believe we're ready to. Oh,
Just had a quick question.
Yes.
Mike, sorry. You not hear me?
Yes,
you're
we
good.
can hear you.
Okay, Mike didn't respond. So I was just curious, have we looked at the possibility of saving money by going with the state health insurance plan for the teachers?
We actually did during negotiations the last time, and we were able to do much better with the health savings account that we have.
Oh, okay, then opting, okay.
That's done during negotiations.
Correct, yep, I know, yep, thank you. So I was just making sure that it's something we had looked at, because I know some districts have gone on to the state plan and saved money. But if you're saying that we save money by going with HSA, then okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and usually the GEA would bring that up, the Groton Education Association. They want to really look at all the insurance possibilities that would be the best savings. So we kind of do that on a regular basis. It's a good point.
Any other discussion?
A quick question. Can I just ask about a specific line in the budget, the education budget? No, I just noticed that for blind students that had dropped by 50%, is that due to like fewer students in that category or just combined schools, fewer students?
Yes, fewer students. And actually, that used to be a position that was, anytime we can within our region, we try to work together with the other learn districts, and that was supported by 2 school districts, but the other school district didn't have, any students, and we had maybe a couple that were needing some consultation, so it was reduced.
Okay. And the technology education, that dropped by, looks like 14 or so percent. What is the drop in that?
Well, I think that was really the support we received in the CARES Act. We were able to ensure that all of our kids had the one-on-one support. We've been working on that goal for 7 years. So they all had technology, hotspots, software, new LMS systems. Boy, teachers and administrators learned a lot this year. So, but because we didn't have to pull it from our operation budget, we were able to do through the CARES 1 and then the CARES 2. CARES 1 was in about the neighborhood of 600,000 and CARES 2 was in 3.1 million. So we were able to really do a lot of good work through that and not have to tackle with, and those grants actually, the CARES 2 will finish up, I think, next year. And then there's a CARES 3 coming, and we're going to actually get some consultation on how to do that and take care of that. And that can even help afford HVAC and some different operational costs too. So we'll keep everybody posted on that.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
And Representative Ray has a question or a comment?
Yeah, I had a really quick question. I was doing some of the line item stuff, and I had a question on athletic director. Now, again, I'm a recent input into this group. Why there was $116,000 increase?
So that shouldn't have been a total increase. We currently have an athletic director that is under the teaching field, and his role is to be part teacher for an Apex program that we have, and then he oversees athletics at the high school. This year, currently, a principal from West Side was handling the athletics for the middle school, and next year he will not be obliged to do that or obligated to do that. So we're looking for really a campus athletic director who can actually make sure those fields are shared, the facilities are shared with both the middle school and high school, and even with the Parks and Rec and, all the folks that would need that, and to oversee the entire program. So we would need to move that position to administrative position. But I think, Ken, you have the exact amount. It's really moving them about $25,000 more, not 116.
Yeah,
To make
correct.
them an
It's-
administrator and to oversee the whole campus.
Okay, so the total cost, because it's just on the line item alone, where FY21, it was estimated at 11,000, and then you have it on the budget for 128,000. That's a huge jump. So I'm like,
Well, that was,
hello.
I can explain that. That was the stipend on
Okay.
top of his top teacher salary.
Okay.
So that was, in the
So his
neighborhood of,
salary
let's
was
say,
already included in the other line.
so it
items
was
for
like
salary.
112,000 moving up to 120,000 or something like that.
So does that mean you're looking for now a dedicated athletic director?
Yes.
Okay, so that's opening up an open position is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's moving to have more responsibility, to have a shared campus feel, and instead of taking a teacher and giving them a stipend.
No, I understand that part. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just wanted
okay.
to make sure you're saying it's one dedicated person now. Okay.
Right.
Thank
And
you.
we've heard from our public and our constituents that they are looking for something like that too.
Actually, just to clarify, is that I understand the reworking of it and the new nature of it, but is that a new person? Is there a search that's going to happen, or is it just moving?
I'm working with the HR director currently to really, we're going to have to reframe and negotiate this with the AGSA union, but looking at the job description will change. So we're in the process of that right now.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do we have any other discussion? All right, I'll call a vote. This is on account 1080, education. And the number is $77,438,090. I think we
second
should
that.
do,
Fitzgerald, second.
no, we don't need a second. We're gonna vote on it now. I just wanted to read through it. And so we'll do a roll call vote, and I will actually vote last on that. Let me get the list. So Representative Chase,
Yes.
Representative Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Representative Frickman,
Yes.
Representative Gauthier,
Yes.
Representative Gustafson,
Yes.
Representative Ray,
Yes.
Representative Stevenson is not here, I believe. And Representative Thomas,
Yes.
and I vote yes, that's unanimous. All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is, well, these are the two capital improvement projects. And they're in page 224 is the first one. And so this is CIP for capital improvement project, CIP 5 education. And we're looking at 5C first. So it's education, CIP 5C, Northeast Academy Air Quality. It's on page 224. And as an information, this is not a motion, but just for information, the amount of the requested amount of $215,000 was approved by the town council committee of the whole on April 7th. So if anyone would like to make a motion for an amount to approve and discuss, I'd welcome that now.
Make a motion to discuss.
Can you give the number? It's 215,000 is what I said before. But
Yes. 215,000.
Second.
all right. Okay, I've got that down with the second. So that is, the motion is to recommend $215,000 for CIP 5C Northeast Academy Air Quality. So I open it up for discussion.
I have a couple of questions. Can you tell me, I know it doesn't have anything to do with this year, or this coming year, but can you tell me what the subsequent $200,000 is for over the next, what is it, 4 or 5 years?
So,
How many handlers? I don't understand this whole process, what you have to do there.
so there's a story behind every number. And I just wanted to set the stage at Northeast Academy. While it's one of our newer schools, along with Catherine Kolnowski, we were having some air quality issues that had to really be taken care of with a specialized group to come in and give us a report. There was some mold issues last year, the year before. And so we really had to take action to really offset that and to clean that up. And so with the air handling and the cleaning of vents and adding some heat and air conditioning, because the air handlers that were put on top of the building were not working the way they needed to work. So Sam and his team were able to come in with some consultation to try to correct that. But the ultimate problem at Northeast Academy is that it was built on wetlands. And so this $215,000 will hopefully get to the root of the problem by doing some dredging and to have a curtain drain to get the water away from the building. In the future, we were thinking if those air handlers had to be replaced, those are at the tune of $200,000. But we're hoping that the mitigating strategies that we use to correct the problem will continue to work. It seems to be working just fine. We monitor the air quality on a constant basis. I know that our custodians under, Sam Kilpatrick, actually all April break made sure all filters in all schools were cleared were cleaned and cleared so that our air quality was, at the level it needs to be at in every building. And now we're going to have 3 new buildings that have air handling systems that are brand new. So we're just really being very cautious, and we really want to correct the situation that is going on at Northeast. And they feel that this 215,000 would correct that situation, and we'll keep our eye on that. And if there are further HVAC situations that need to be corrected, we might be able to use some of that ESSER 3 fund that I had spoken to you about that will be rolling in this year until 2023.
So the 215,000 is for site improvements, so you may not need to replace an air handler.
Fingers crossed.
So the 200,000 that you have in the subsequent years are for air handlers if needed.
If needed.
And how
Right
many,
now, we're feeling like we've been able to use these corrective mitigating strategies, but we also need to do this dredging, which will get the water away from the building.
how many air handlers are on that building? Are there 5?
I think there's like 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
At
okay.
CK also, but CK isn't really built on a wetland, so it doesn't have the same issues. But
Okay.
we've taken some of the same mitigating strategies because they were like twin sister schools.
So if we spend the 215 this coming year, you may not need any more money after that.
We're hopeful.
Okay.
And if we do, we have some other resources too that might support us.
All right. Thank you.
I had a quick question. I listened to the committee, the whole town council meeting on this. And I think it was mentioned that these curtain drains or French drains would actually also help the early childhood playground for maybe the
Yes.
kindergarten and first graders. Could you speak to that?
Well, I think that, anytime you have a property that's built on wetlands, and we have the same problem at Mary Morrison where the playgrounds flood, any kind of way that we can get the water away from the building, away from the playground so that, kids can play on them throughout the year is a good thing. But, so this will serve both the building in keeping the water away and making sure things are dry along with this strategy that we're using inside. But it'll also make sure that the playground is going to be usable throughout the year. So it serves a couple purposes.
Not see any hands raised, but if anyone has any questions or comments to discuss, it's a good time to bring it up.
I just have a quick one. I think in the past, like a year or so ago, about the air handlers, wasn't there, the plan was to replace 1 a year, but now you're saying that might not be the case. We might not have to replace them.
So far, we've had really good luck with using these suggestions from our consultant and, really keeping a close eye and monitoring the situation. Doesn't mean that an air handler couldn't break someday in the future, and we'd have to come back. But so far, we feel like we've got this along with the site, work that would happen with the 215,000, we think will take care of the problem in the next several years, hopefully.
That's good to hear. I feel I must caution, of course, that year-to-year variability in rain could play a role too. So it's something
Right.
I'm sure you'll keep an eye on as
We
well.
will. Yeah, we will.
There's no further discussion. We can call a vote. So we're calling the vote on CIP 5C, Northeast Academy Air Quality. For the recommendation is for $215,000. And we'll do a roll call vote for that as well. Representative Chase,
Yes.
Representative Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Representative Frickman,
Yes.
Representative Gauthier,
Yes.
Representative Gustafson,
Yes.
Representative Ray.
Yes.
Representative Stevenson is still not here. Representative Thomas
Yes.
and Representative Whitney, I'm a yes. That is unanimous. Our next item is another CIP. It's CIP 5D, SB Butler fuel tank removal. And for informational purposes, the requested amount on that, it's on page 225. It's the next page in the budget. And the requested amount on that is $50,000. And the town council committee of the whole voted to approve that on that same day, April 7th. So I'll entertain a motion for any amount.
I'll make a motion for CIP 5D in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
And we can go to discussion, but I think we should just go for the description of what this is all about first. That seems to.
Well, you may wonder why we would have to put in, take out an old oil tank and put something new in when you're closing a building, but it's a requirement by the state because it's a 30-year-old and it was underground. And I think many of you may know, even in owning your own homes, that we can't keep those oil tanks underground after that time. So the least expensive, most efficient way to handle this is to go ahead and take the oil tank out and put something in temporarily while the town is trying to decide what they're going to do with the building. So we wouldn't purchase a new oil tank, but we could, I guess you can rent them above ground and have it there for heating the building while the town is deciding what to do with the building. So we're looking for the most efficient way, but the requirement is by the state that it needs to be removed. So we would remove it this summer. While it's still under the, responsibility of the board, we want to take care of those things before we give it back to the town.
Are the $50,000 for the removal or also include the rental too? I wasn't sure on that.
Ken, do you remember if it also includes the rental for a certain time period to get us started?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah. I think all we're looking for is the 50,000, and that should really take care of the situation while it's underneath, the board's responsibility.
Representative Chase has a question or a comment.
Yes, thank you. SB Butler is not closed yet. That's the end of this year. Is that correct?
Yes. I guess we'll be turning it over to the town once we move everything out and move it into the new Mystic River Magnet School. So I don't know exactly what that time frame is going to be, but it will definitely be probably in the summertime at some point.
So do you know if there's a brownfield grant available to do this work instead of getting it from the town?
I don't know that we've looked into that. So I don't really have an answer for you, Kathy, on that one.
Okay.
I can point out that was brought up to the town council, and apparently it takes quite a few years for that to unfold. And then I think also it's mentioned that the schools had sought an extension from the state to be able to leave it in another year, but at least that was on April 7th. At the time of that meeting, it wasn't looking good to get that, to be able to get that extension. I don't know if things have changed or not. Are there other discussion points, questions, comments? All right, I think we're set for a vote. This is CIP 5D, SB Butler fuel tank removal, and the recommendation is $50,000. We'll do a roll call vote. Representative Chase?
Yes.
Representative Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Representative Frickman?
Yes.
Representative Gauthier?
Yes.
Representative Gustafson?
Yes.
Representative Ray?
Yes.
Representative Stevenson is still not here. Representative Thomas?
Yes.
And Representative Whitney, I'm a yes. That's unanimous. That ends our agenda for tonight. I'll entertain any motion to adjourn if you have one.
I just want to thank all of you for your support as always. And it's good working together. And thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming, and welcome to the new Assistant Superintendent. And this is a vital part of the community, having these committee meetings and then the RTM itself. And it's good that it's been able to persist in a virtual sense. If anyone has any other comments, welcome them, and or any motion to adjourn if you'd like.
Before I motion to adjourn, I just want to say thank you. I can tell you my son is really ecstatic and happy to be back full time. So we are all very happy.
Oh, we're thrilled. Teachers are thrilled. I can't tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. As a teacher myself, I get it. So,
Yeah, we have a lot of fun things happening this summer. So
oh, cool.
just wait and see. Lots of camps, STEM camps, literacy camps, math camps.
Great.
So we'll be sending
thank you,
that
guys.
information out.
I appreciate it. And with that, I'll make a motion to end the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you
Thank
very much,
you.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Take care.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.